time for us to estimate quotients, and especially ones that have two digits outside that bracket, the division bracket. It's a really important step to be able to estimate these things because as a whole I think dividing with two digits outside the bracket can be pretty challenging. So you want to make sure that you get an answer that makes sense, and to find out if your answer makes sense you have to be able to estimate. So as we get to these, we're going to be taking a look at the number outside the bracket. So we'll have a bracket, we'll look at this number right here, and we'll round that to maybe the nearest 10, or sometimes I would leave it be if it was 25, because working with 25 is pretty easy. I just, it's like your quarters, 25 cents, 50 cents, 75 cents. So working with 25s actually is pretty easy, so I would leave that be. But other than that, I probably would round to the nearest 10, so that I was working with maybe 20, 30, or 40, because those are numbers that are easy to find compatible numbers to go with. Now, once I round this one, this outside one, to something that is easy to work with, then I round the inside one to something that is compatible with this. If I had this one at 25, or 50, or 75, then I would be choosing the number that was closest to a compatible number here. Or let's just say for now that I had chosen 40. I had rounded this number to 40. Now the compatible numbers I'm going to be choosing from are, of course, 40, 80, 120, the multiples of 40, and whichever one of these multiples is closest, then that's the one that I would use in here. Now, just like before, if I have, maybe it's 24,000, that's fine, it's just a multiple of 40 with maybe a couple other zeros on the back. But that's the basic strategy I'm going to be using. So I'm not trying to confuse you here by not choosing a specific example. I'm just going through the strategy, and then we'll try a couple problems here. You'll see what I'm doing as I try and go through this strategy. Okay. So the first problem, actually, I would round to 40. 38 is quite close to 40. So I would just round to 40. And then inside, I'm going to choose a compatible number that goes with 40 well, that ends up being close to 8,253. So again, I start going through the multiples of 40. 40, 80. So I find 80. That's actually quite close to 82. So 80 would be a good compatible number to use with 40. Now, I'm not trying to get close just to 82. I'm trying to get close to 8,253. And so I would add a 0. Now I'm close to 825. And now I add another 0. And now I'm actually close to 8,253. So this is how I set it up now for my compatible numbers to get my estimate. So 40 goes into 8 0 times. 40 goes into 80 2 times. And then everything else is going to be 0. So a good estimate, when I do this exact problem up above, I should get an answer that is quite close to 200. Right, let's try another. Right, this one actually has 80 on the outside, sorry, 81 on the outside. And so I would look at it and think, all right, well, that's actually very close to 80. So I round the outside to 80. And then I start looking at which multiple of 80 would get me quite close to 255. So I start thinking 80, 160, 240. 240 is actually pretty close to 255. So I would write 240 large to go into 2, too large to go into 24. So when I did this exact problem up above and got the exact answer, I would expect an answer that was going to be close to 3. So this is the way you just go through, find a, well, round your outside number to something you can easily find compatible numbers for, choose one of those compatible numbers, and then come up with an estimate.